Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Check Me. Tap again. Of course, I want to talk about the NFL and a roundup this week. But first, I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. Once again, another win against the Panthers. I thought the game was something that we managed very well against this feisty Panthers team. Now, this Panthers team, we saw them take the Kansas City Chiefs to the shed this past week. If it wasn't for a game-winning field goal, they would have beat them. The Panthers have been playing teams tough. They played the Bucks, the Chiefs, and the Eagles the past 2 weeks. They should have won that Bucks game, but they forgot how to play at the end. They took the Chiefs to the shed. They beat the Giants and the Saints. Of course, they're not big wins, but they beat those two teams. And they lost the Broncos. But we see the Panthers trending upward. And I think I want to mention first, this Panthers team is trying to figure some things out. They're not giving up on Bryce Young. I think that, at the beginning of the season, they kind of wrote him off. And they really didn't do a lot to support him or help him during this time period. But you got Jalen Hurts coming in, the Eagles coming into the game, and what I like to see is, does Jalen Hurts make the right decisions? That's the most important thing. And people are saying that he's only a game manager. Jalen Hurts can do it all if he needed to do it all, and he can do it effectively. But we have a situation where he has weapons around him where he doesn't have to do it all. Just because someone's capable of doing something and not doing it doesn't make him a game manager. Now, him managing the game is important, but he's not just managing the game. The difference between a game manager, right? I don't say Tom Brady is a game manager. I say Brock Purdy is a game manager. The reason I say that because this. Tom Brady is doing more when it comes to making decisions than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is working in the framework of a system, and he's doing what the coach tells him to do, essentially. Where to throw it, where to look, etc., going through his progressions. He's doing that. There's not a lot of improvisation or pre-snap adjustments or reads that he really has to make before a play starts. Now, with Jalen Hurts is doing a lot of that. Jalen Hurts is making the right throws, being in the right place. You say he only passed for 108, but he had 59 yards on the ground and a touchdown. He accounted for 3 touchdowns. It was a game where the offense was still trying to figure things out, and I attribute that to Smitty coming back, where they worked 2 games without Smitty, and they ran the ball heavy, and AJ was getting his dosage, where we're going to see teams where the ball really spread out a lot more. The defense once again stepped up well, but Jalen Hurts, what has Jalen Hurts done right? Right, he has not turned the ball over. Right, Jalen Hurts has not turned the ball over. If you look at his last, how many games? The last 4 games, he has not thrown an interception. He hasn't thrown an interception, and his last interception he thrown before that one was in September. So he's not turned the ball over through the air. That's a big thing. He's making sure his players get in the right spots. He's being efficient, effective. 68% this year. These are things that you want to see from Jalen Hurts. A guy in position around him, where you have weapons around him, you don't want to make a mistake. And you look at Joe Burrow back when he had Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase. You want to see him flourish and not make a mistake. Now, the running game wasn't emphasized as much as it is in Philadelphia, but Jalen Hurts is doing well, and we see where the growing pains of development that he had at the beginning of the season is starting to make him be more effective, staying in the pocket and making plays. Saquon, of course, was Saquon through the air. I would like to see him do a lot more through the air. I would like Saquon to us be less predictable on second and third down. There's a couple plays I'll show later on this week where Saquon can be a better pass catcher and a better better blocker that Kenneth Gainwell does a lot better, and that's why a lot of times we may have him on second or third down, and we're going to pass it, as opposed to Saquon being in there. Gainwell is a viable back. I think he's a solid back. That he's going to continue to be effective in the passing game and the running game with Saquon. More of a downhill runner. One cut, put a foot in the dirt, go. But I like Gainwell. game well as a supplementary back. Big shout out to Grant Calcaterra. Big touchdown on him. Thought it was great. Patience in the pocket for Jalen Hurts. Defense stepped up. I mean, CJ, other than his lapse in pass coverage, I mean, he was everywhere on the field. With the Ricardo Blankenship out, we saw Tristan McCullum come in and try to fill that void. Our the secondary is always going to be a challenge. Our secondary, being able to cover on the back end is only going to be a tribute to what we do on the front end or up front with our big hog mollies. I thought our defense played solid. We only gave up 6 points in the second half. We got a turnover. Even though we only sacked Bryce Young once, we did very well. Like, if you want to assess how good a team is, you want to look at how many turnover on downs they force a game. And I'm not talking punts. I'm talking about interceptions. I'm talking about punts. This team punted the ball like 2 times. They had a lot of long drives that they sustained. But I always look at TOP as an indicator of how well a team is doing. We got past. They have more total yards than us in this game. We average a lot more. But I look at time possession. They had a lot of long sustained drives. They had about 6 minutes more than us in time possession. So they're running the ball well. Do I think this was a trap game? I do think it was a trap game. I think that we go and we handle the Pittsburgh Steelers. We handle them well. I think we go and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm saying that mainly because the games are only going to get tougher. And for us to get home field advantage in the playoffs, we have to win out. I do think we have a favorable schedule. We got the Steelers, the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Giants. 2 games that I think we should win. 3 games I think we should win. And then, of course, the Steelers is going to be our last test. Now, we got the Commanders in Washington, Steelers at home, Cowboys at home, and Giants at home. So I like the likes of our schedule towards the end of the season. I think that we're well prepared for that. Later on in the week, I'm going to start breaking down a little bit more of how Jalen Hurts can improve, how Saquon can improve, and some small things that if we tighten these things up, we can be a lot better later in the season and the playoffs. Small things in execution. The Lions, I think we can overtake the Lions. The Lions do have a tough schedule ahead. Now, that was a big win for Detroit the other night, beating the Packers. But they got the Bills, the Bears, the 49ers, and the Vikings. You got, games against, 2 teams that they're 10-2, 10-3, I believe, the Vikings and the Bills. And then you got the Bears and the 49ers. 49ers are starting to trend upwards. We'll see how they go. And the Bears. So we're going to really see who the Detroit Lions are. But we have a favorable schedule to win the NFC if we win the games supposed to win and we beat the Steelers. So I think that we can take first place. The Vikings schedule, looking at them and see who they play. The Vikings have the Bears, Seahawks, Packers, Lions. They have a competitive schedule as well too. But all in all, I think we played a game after a big game, and then we have another big game coming up. It's a trap game. I thought we played and executed decent. The defense, I would like to see them be able to wrangle some of these quarterbacks who use their legs. Bryce Young got to have a lot of situations, and I love to see a Bama guy be successful. But for those quarterbacks that they're escape artists, we have to be. We did a good job against Lamar, but we have to contain them a little bit better. I just think that this was a sleeper game for us after all the excitement against the Ravens, and then we have a big one against the Steelers. But I'm confident in us. Do I say we win out? I say we go 3-1. It all depends on where our positioning is as well too in the playoffs. So, big win for the Philadelphia. I'll break down a lot more of this film throughout the week as well.